Hey everyone, just me again taking another sort of walk in nature and kind of a short behind the scenes video. Kind of wanted to show everyone the not so pretty side of our environments, the not so pretty side of nature. When nature meets our kind of very industrialized world and busy environment, it's a clash of two different worlds, I guess, combined with this kind of grey weather. You know, it kind of makes for a dull and somewhat depressing experience being out here, and but I guess I kind of wanted to show that, you know, this is life, I guess. You know, that we don't always, it's not always all about kind of bright sunny skies and lovely, you know, beautiful weather and tranquil, peaceful culture. You know, we have this is the world that we exist in most of the time, and I think it's important to show because most kind of people, we all kind of like to look our best. We all kind of like to appear our best, you know, on camera, get the right kind of lighting and have everything kind of perfect and look really nice and clean and kind of come across as being very professional. And I guess this kind of short videos to show behind the scenes, I guess, you know, when you're out and your hair's not washed and you're kind of just wearing these kind of rough old clothes. You haven't shaved and you haven't got your makeup on. As you can see, I don't have my makeup on. You know, and I guess it just kind of matches the environment, and as you can see, it's completely unprofessional. I'm holding this phone with my hand, and that's because I try to do something like this. The previous day, I had it on a selfie stick, and the selfie stick was difficult enough. It was rubbish. It was an absolutely terrible experience. The camera kept flopping down and I had to keep fixing it, and every time I was trying to change direction and change the focus of the camera to show people, you know, where I was kind of walking, it was just horrible. But I kind of said, okay, well, I'll persevere, and I tried watching the footage back this morning, and it was on mute. There was no sound coming through it, so it was completely wasted. But you know what? Maybe it was for a reason, because as I said, I wanted to kind of show people this not so pretty side, and I kind of just wanted to say that that can be very reflective of life. As I said, not everything is rainbows and flowers. And just kind of like life with this kind of weather and built up noisy environments and pollution encroaching on our natural world and our natural habitats. Life can be like that for us too. You know, it's not always a bed of roses. It's not always a picnic. Sometimes it's cold, it's damp. You may feel cold and damp and grey inside, and I think that's important to address. And I just kind of wanted to show behind the scenes to kind of show for whoever kind of watches these videos that it's not always a bed of roses for me either. That I'm not always as polished as I most of the time try to be on, especially my videos or my interviews with people. I kind of wanted to make this about the short kind of video about the challenges that we face and how we get through them, how we get through them by having one constant in our life, and that's that right there, or right here. That's our heart. It's about keeping our heart open despite the circumstances, despite what we're going through. And I've had a few difficult few months, starting around December, and continuing into February. They've been kind of difficult to process. A lot has happened then, and it's interesting because previous to that, I really felt that I was having a direction in my own kind of life. I felt things are beginning to fall into place for me. I've been granted a few of the things that I've been asking for, and it really kind of looks like I'm on the up, and that's after coming through a really difficult challenge, really difficult situation. And when you're through that, you think to yourself, well, at least I've been at the bottom. At least I was at the bottom. Things can't get any worse. The only way is up, as the song goes. And then next thing you know, you kind of like, it's almost like driving off a cliff. You just plummet down even further. Well, maybe not further, but down into depths again that really challenge, your beliefs and your hope and your faith. And it's a challenge in those times to kind of keep your heart open. And for me, it kind of began at Christmas there with my family and I were away with my father-in-law. We took a holiday in the south of Ireland, which technically is a different country, at Christmas, and I found him dead on the day of the 28th in the early hours of the morning. And that was a difficult thing to process. It was a difficult shock to see. There was, and on the same day, kind of like family had to return home, and so that was kind of Christmas cut short. It was, what should have been a festive, nice time, and we had known that he had very little time to live, but we thought, well, the diagnosis gives him at least a few months, and you kind of know yourself that people live a lot longer, so we were optimistic about things. And to find him dead on the 20th of December was an absolute shock and an absolute blow, and it was a lot to process. I was left there in the place of my own because because it's technically in a different country, the death has to be registered where the death occurred. So, and since the government offices weren't open again until the 2nd of January, which is when our kind of holiday, I guess, or break was meant to come to an end, it just didn't make any point for us all to do all the travelling back up and to travel back down. It was complicated further by the fact that we had two dogs away with us, and he had 3 dogs of his own, and there was no one left to look after the 2 dogs, so whoever was in the house could not have looked after the 3 dogs on their own, or 5 dogs. So that was another reason for me staying down there to register the death. On the exact same day that he passed, I took an unknown illness, and I'm still not 100% certain what it was. It was almost like a viral infection, but seemed to be a lot worse. I developed chest pains and coughing, and began to have fever and night sweats and weakness, and that continued on for at least a month, well into January. And still around that time there was just even more trauma. Came for me, there was a kind of unexpected blow. came for me where I kind of ran afoul of people who had a mistaken identity, and it led to a lot of confusion and hardship and mental anguish and trauma. So I had all of that to deal with, and as I say, it's been a difficult few months, and I feel I'm only kind of starting to recover from that. I lost a lot of physical health, completely unused to kind of walking or doing kind of long walks. So with the kind of advent of spring, although it doesn't kind of seem like it, I just wanted to speak a little bit to that and talk about the fact that, you know, a lot of the time that we go through these things, and it can seem like, you know, kind of why me, you know, what have I kind of done and what exactly has happened here, and, you know, I've trying to lead my life in the right way and grow and change and help others, and why it, you know, it is that I seem to be facing all of these challenges. And as I said, despite kind of what you're going through, the important thing to remember is to keep that heart center open, is to not change the path that you're on or the person that you're trying to be and striving to become. And although it can be very difficult and our challenge is very difficult, and it feels like, you know, we're a solitary candle flame that the darkness is trying its best to extinguish, and all the world seems to be against us, that it's important to keep that, even if it is just a single candle flame instead of a blazing sun. It's important that we keep that flame alive, that we don't let things overwhelm us, even if it seems that we can't go on, if our challenges seem too great, that if the world seems too harsh. It's important. It matters. You matter, I matter, everyone matters. And as I said, you know, kind of showing this certainly seemingly unattractive environment. You know, I've done a number of these kind of nature walks now, and they've all been in lush green environments and full of quiet, full of the sounds of nature. Full of tranquility and peacefulness. Sun shining, interesting places, but as I said, it's not always like that, and life isn't always like that either. We have to interact. Most of our time is spent in our noisy, kind of built up environments, you know, where it spoils the aesthetic of nature and of, you know, where we kind of want to be. But the point of all this is that we all want to live in the sunshine. We all want to live in peace and harmony and tranquility, and do away with noise and pollution and the rat race. When we look at all of those kind of vehicles, they're just all away now, but all of those kind of noisy vehicles, all in the kind of rat race, the commercial activity, all racing to be kind of somewhere. Part of our capitalistic environment and the desire to earn money so that, you know, people can better themselves and create a living and a future for themselves, and, you know, hopefully retire early and have a future, I guess, for children if people have families. I guess the only way we're going to change that is by not letting our events and situations overwhelm us and threaten to close down our own heart centres. We have to live from our open heart. We have to keep on striving to show love, to show tolerance, to show forgiveness, to show empathy, to show compassion towards others, towards everyone else. Because I think that when we do that, then we can inspire others to do the same. And if we can do that through our challenges, if we can do that through the things that threaten to close that down and threaten to undo all of the work that we have strived so hard to create, then we come out of that more resilient, more stronger, more mature spiritually, evolved, one kind of step further along the ladder in our growth. And when we come through hard and difficult challenges and periods in our lives, and especially when things like this environment that you seem to be confronted with grey in your kind of own lives, and things seem to be stagnant and stuck, when you come through those challenges, as I said, you become battle hardened, if you like. This world does not knock you as easily as it did before. You can become a diamond. And when we think about the characteristics of a diamond, diamonds are exquisitely hard. One of the hardest substances on our planet, because they have been shaped and crushed and moulded by extreme pressure, by millennia, which can be reflective of our own lives when we feel that we are stuck, that we feel that we are unmoving, that lots of time has passed without any real change. So we take on those characteristics of a diamond, but at the same time, if you can learn to utilise these experiences, if you can learn to utilise the not so sunny, clear times in your life when, like me, you don't have your face painted and clean and clear and dressed in your finery and looking your best, all glammed up. It doesn't really matter, because if you can utilise those experiences, as I said, in the right manner, and take them and transmute them into growth, into learning, then you become another key aspect of the diamond. You become radiant and beautiful. Perhaps not on the outside, but certainly from within. That light, that inner light, shines all the more brightly because what you've managed to get through. And in many ways, if not always, then it creates more empathy and more tolerance and more desire to help, a greater desire to turn to this world and help others. You've kind of survived your own challenges. Uh, so why wouldn't you want to help others through the same experience? Not so bad, is it, now that you've got away from the noisy, built up environments, taking on a little more of a tranquility? And that's reflective of our own lives, that things pass. You know, this too shall pass. If you can have the patience to realise that. And it's difficult because, especially in today's world, we have increasingly less and less patience for anything. We become more and more aware of the passage of time, or the illusion of the passage of time. We measure time and our time and the things that we want, not in years or even months, but increasingly in shorter periods of times. Days, hours, minutes. You know, oh, I don't have the time for that. I don't have the time to sit and listen to something. I don't have the time to attend something. I don't have the time to go out for a walk for an hour or two. I have so many things to do. I don't have time to meditate. I don't have time to do a lot of stuff. And that's the key word: time. And because of all that, we also expect people who have to respond to us within our designated idea of what is, you know, fast enough. Whether you're waiting on an email reply, whether you're waiting on a letter, whether you're waiting on the delivery of goods, whether you're waiting on results, job application, whether you're waiting on a pay rise, anything at all. You know, we now have like 24-hour delivery, if not faster. We can pay to have goods ordered one day and delivered sometimes from not even in our own state, our own country, the very next day to us. So we have become increasingly captured by time, and we don't have the patience of those who went before us now. And yet somehow we must. And we must realise that, you know, whatever it is that's happening in our lives, whether or not that's a traumatic event or a change, or you just feel stagnant and stuck, that this too shall pass, that it won't always be like that. And it's time then to contemplate, to go inside, to do that work, and find out how you can overcome whatever it is that's challenging you. Find out how to grow from that, how to find that self-acceptance. And it may be difficult, especially if it's something which is really mentally challenging or something which is really physically challenging. But it's always important to keep that spark alive, because, as I said, if we have our hearts open, if we are trying to develop all of these great qualities that I talked about, because we want to change, we want to evolve ourselves, we want to become a better person, a more tolerant, considerate person. We don't want to be blown about like leaves in the wind, or the grass that grows, or blows one way and it blows the next way, blows different ways, all subject to the fates, to the winds. We want to be able to stand firm in the face of adversity. We want to be able to take those challenges head on and say that, you know, that's okay, I'm stronger than this, I'm more calm, I'm more resilient, I'm going to take this opportunity and respond with love. And if that's what we want for ourselves, because that's the type of person that we want to be, and if that's what we can do, if we come through these difficult periods, then we can inspire others, I guess, to change. We can inspire other people to follow the same path, to try to embody the same qualities, but that all starts with here. It all starts with here. It all starts and ends with here, I guess, for a very simple analogy. It's the heart. The heart is the most important thing because, as I said, all of these great qualities come from your heart, from your desire. Your desire then to help your fellow man, your fellow human, your fellow person find a way to navigate life's difficult waters. And when you do, then they begin to change. And they start their own journey of self-transformation. It begins to spread. Begins to catch on like a match to torch paper, like a virus or contagion that is most welcome. And we can then see real change in our world. And if everybody then is pulling in the same direction, if everybody is trying to change themselves for the better, then everything else begins to change. Everything else kind of falls into place. Everything else, our way that we interact with each other in the world, all of our problems with our desire to have so much war and aggression, our desire to hoard material wealth, our desire to live separately from everyone else, as long as we are okay, begin to dissipate because we all want to help each other. And then what happens is that problems like starvation, poverty, pollution, destruction of natural resources, unfair distribution of wealth and resources and hoarding of land and all of these things that we see in the world today, they all begin to fade away because when you're living from the open heart, when you're trying, as I said, to become a better person, and you're trying to promote real change in the world, and you want to help other people, and the more and more people that do that, then I guess we have a real desire then to eliminate these problems. And then we can all begin to live in a world that we're all proud of, that we're all happy to live in. Then before you know it, peace and harmony and balance begins to return, and little patches of blue begin to break out amongst the gloom. We begin to move forward, and it all starts and ends with the heart. And you're going to face challenges, you're going to face problems, you're going to face hardships in your life. It doesn't matter how far along your path, you're never going to get to an end point where you think that, I've grown enough. Unless that's your choice, unless that's what you want to do, unless you turn around and say, that's it, I ain't here, I've done enough, I've worked enough, I don't want to grow anymore. I think when you're on this path, that is perhaps not even an option, because you feel the tug, you feel the desire, it takes on a life of its own. It's like one of those moving escalators, those flat ones at the airports, where it naturally carries you along. You can't stay still. You feel the desire. You feel the tugging after a while. It becomes this desire to grow and change even further than before. So we may take pauses along, our path, and our path may once again feel stagnant, but it always precedes periods of growth. So we need these challenges. We need to go through the grim and the grime and the stagnation. We all have our seasons. We all have our winters. We all have our springs before these eventually give way to summer. And spring is the period between winter and summer. Spring is where, the seeds that we plant begin to germinate, I guess. And by the time summer arrives, we're in full bloom once again. We're in full bloom. So the seasons of our planet are definitely representative of ourselves and our own personal growth. We will always have seasons in our lives. We will always have periods of growth and periods of sunshine. But we're also going to have our winters. Time and things crawl to a stop, and our vegetation, our once lush beauty, our inner landscape begins to, become sodden and slow. But that's as equally valid, because, as I said, that is our time for reflection. That is our time for to take stock of our lives and how far we've come along our journey, and to see exactly where that we need to prepare again for the spring, so that we can begin then to plant, the seeds of life once more. So, in closing, as I said, this is just a little video to kind of show you that, like everyone else, I too have my seasons. It's not all love and light and fun and games, and it's not all lush, beautiful landscapes and beautiful, rich, abundant nature. It can be grimy, it can be murky, it can be noisy and polluted, and you may not be at your own personal best. I'm certainly not my own personal best, but behind the scenes, behind the camera, I guess, it's not, as I said, it's not always kind of like that. So I just kind of wanted to give you a little insight into my world, and hopefully that this little video in less than potentially sunny conditions, and the way that I kind of I'm interacting with it, are should be something that can be a bit of a relief, and something, I guess, that not so much a relief, but something that you can turn around and take and say, well, it's okay. It's okay to feel this. It's okay to have those periods of when you feel stagnant, to have those periods of grief, of hardship, of darkness, I guess, in your life. It's okay. You're not on your own. You're far from your own. Everyone else is going through it. It's just that a lot of people don't share it. They prefer to just simply show you the sunny sides. But as I said, we all have our seasons to go through. We all have our seasons, and I've certainly had mine. These winter months have been somewhat cruel, and as those of Ra say, to paraphrase, they say in one passage that the positive seeker, the one who is trying to bring and spread light and love into the world, shall certainly not have an easy incarnation. It will not be an easy ride. The gusts and flurries of quick and cruel catalyst will harry and nip and cause much outward erosion and damage. But to the pure, all that encountered speaks of the love and of the light of the one infinite creator who surrounds us all at each time. That even in an environment like this, there is love and joy to be had. If you stop and slow down and take stock of life and absorb nature and see how everything works in harmony with one another here. That even the animals in nature who face issues of survivability. Am I going to get eaten? Is there going to be enough food for me to nurture my young? And despite the dangers that they face, they don't stop their birdsong. They warble songs of joy, songs of love, despite what they may face, I guess, in their kind of own lives. So, anyway, folks, hopefully I will be back in more pleasant environments, in, I guess somewhat different environments. Let's just put it like that. I don't want to say nicer, but somewhat different environments. And we've come a long way in this video, from the noisy built up pollution of industrialization to more pleasant surroundings. And as I said, that is reflective of our lives. We all have our seekers, but just remember the lessons of nature, and remember that this too shall pass. And even if your own fire, even if your own sun dwindles to the light of a candle in the darkness, then that's okay. Just remember to keep it alive, keep nurturing it, and eventually the darkness will pass.